Hello and welcome to my review of the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest issue number 19. This is a fantastic issue. Of course, like all of the other issues, they cost £7.99 per week, but Hachette Partworks deliver them to you once a month and obviously bill you £32. Anyway, to start off the review, I'll have to say that these models here, which is Lord Felthius, this guy right here, and 3 Blight Lord Terminators, will cost you £25 individually. So you're saving a whopping £17 over buying these separately. And of course, you don't have to use them as Lord Felthius. I think the box set itself, when it first came out, had rules just for Lord Felthius and 3 Blight Lord Terminators. You've kind of got a similar situation here with issue 19. It actually comes with the rules for these as well. But there's nothing stopping you from using it as a separate Lord of Contagion, or bundle those Blight Lord Terminators in with the rest of your force. So as always, what I will do is kick off the review of the issue by looking at the magazine itself. Focus on Death Guard Lords of Contagion, and actually a focus on the Plague Reaper. There's also another weapon called the Man Reaper. The Plague Reapers are giant snarl-toothed axes. But then there are colossal two-handed scythes called Man Reapers. The Man Reapers are like the Grim Reaper's scythe. Then there's a focus on Lord Felthius himself. He is a commander of the Tainted Sons Vectorium. A little bit more about him. Then Death Guard Blight Lord Terminators, a focus on them and a bit more. And then the how to build guide. They are easy to build, don't necessarily need glue for these. I've glued mine, but yeah, they just push together and fit, and then slots. Everything just slots together really well. And then you've got the option of using these little nurgling or growth you can put on the base, and then it shows you the painting guide. Interesting painting guide, using a lot of colours there and various washes. This is what you'll get if you follow the guide. And then a few bits of shading as well. There's a tutorial mission called Teleport Strike. Victory is nigh, special deployment, entering play mid-game, and then the data sheets themselves, and then a little look at new battle map, new terrain, which I've already done like a first look at. Next Conquest is issue 20, so finally we get the 3rd Munitorum armoured container, which is great. Yes, I will do a review of that one. I say I'll compare them. I'll have all 3 together and do some size comparisons. And issue 21, you get the core rules finally in issue 21, but you get 3 more Reavers, which is a bit disappointing. It would have been nice if we got a new model or something, well, new. I've already done the unboxing review of these quite a long time ago. And then I think we're almost at the Redempted Dreadnought stage. Anyway, they are the data sheets. I'll go through them in a moment after I've gone through some size comparisons. So I'm a big fan of the Death Guard models. In case you were wondering, I built a Death Guard army. I've got a Death Guard army and I absolutely enjoy it because there's so much variety and creativity that can be had with one. Lord Felthius himself, he's an interesting model, a little bit comical because he's got this comical grin, but that is Nurgle. If you've read any novels, any Warhammer 40,000 novels, you'll come across how the Lord of Decay bestows gifts, and actually for these Space Marines, once loyal Space Marines to the Emperor, they're not in too much pain with these gifts, these growths, these boils and bloatedness. They're actually quite happy about it, despite their disfigurement and changes. Anyway, I'm not a huge fan of like goop coming from certain things, or smoke or flames, action thingies, action details, but this kind of works for him. He's not, of course, he's not as stoic looking as the Lord of Contagion from the Dark Imperium set, which you eventually get in these kits, but the Plague Reaper does look pretty nice. He's on this detailed base. Unfortunately, if you've already bought him, the other one is going to look exactly the same, unless you do a bit of modification and try and move that arm down somehow. But the arm sort of glues into place, forming the part of the cloak as well, so it's difficult to have any kind of customization. I do like the cloak. It looks like a cloak of maggots. I think that is actually the case. And then you've got these kind of incense balls on the Plague Reaper and the power plant as well. So quite a gleeful model, definitely stands out. He's in this lovely looking Cataphractii Terminator armour, bursting out of it basically. Then you've got the Blightlord Terminators as well. So you've got two in quite standard weapon loadouts, combi bolters, but they're just, you know, storm bolters basically. And one's got this sword and the other one's got this bubotic axe, which is actually quite a good axe in game terms. They've got the horns. This one's got the tentacles. I haven't put the mini pieces, you know, the scenery pieces or the Nurglings on mine, because I might use them for other models, and I'll show you those in a moment. But again, I really like the weight and movement that these models portray, and this slow kind of cumbersome waddling movement that they show. Plenty of detail in there, and a good set of variety. It's a shame they're both kind of aiming their combi bolters similarly. You know, it'd be nice to have one swinging the axe or something like that. But anyway, that's those Blightlord Terminators. And then you've got this one here, which has just got his normal fist look, but then he's got this awesome looking Plague Spewer weapon, which is horrific in game. We'll get onto the rules in a moment, but this guy certainly has a fair bit of variety to him, and great to have one of these heavy weapons in with the kit. So a good bit of variety. If you haven't had these models before, they're a great addition to your Death Guard force. I'm so pleased that Hachette Partware's bundled them in with these sets. Yes, they're definitely employing a lot of these easy to build kits in this subscription, but still, it's a nice addition. I just wish that like the Primaris Space Marine stuff, that they had created, Games Workshop created a special unique character, like Captain Calcius, to incorporate in the Death Guard kind of miniatures. That would be really cool, and I definitely feel that the subscription needed it, rather than just bundling in, you know, an existing one. Okay then, let's get lower down and have a look at the spare parts first of all, which are these little Nurglings. So I've chopped them off, the pegs off, so that I can put them on different models' bases, but particularly you can put them on, you know, all of these ones. I think this one goes on there, maybe, possibly. But yeah, I've already got these models, so I've decided to leave these off and plug them with sort of green stuff when I get the chance. So you get this Nurgling, which is pretty cool. He's pulling the pin out of this grenade. You get this kind of Jabba the Hutt looking Nurgling holding his boils or intestines together. Pretty cool. And then you get this, and I don't know what on earth this is, some kind of tentacle that's growing up from the ground, but there we go. It could be like some kind of poop, but there we go. Yeah, so you get all of those there. They're the spare parts, just the three if you don't want to put them on the base. So let's have a look at some size comparisons. Well, I do have a painted Death Guard Space Marine, Plague Marine. Right here, beautiful looking Plague Marine, if I say so myself. But there you go, that gives you an idea of the size of one of these Plague Marines compared to a Blightlord Terminator. Blightlord Terminators, these are pretty big. They really are. I think I actually have a standard Chaos Space Marine Terminator somewhere nearby, so I'll just do a short size comparison with that one. But as you can see, a lot more presence than a normal Plague Marine, but Plague Marines do have a lot of bulk as well. Let's do that size comparison right now. Here is your standard Chaos Space Marine, and the Blightlord Terminator is bigger. It's taller, wider, more of a presence. Even this combi bolter, the shoulders are higher. They look quite small actually compared to these, you know, Blightlord Terminators. They still work quite well in Harmony. You could sort of paint the the normal ones green and have them in your army, but still, I like the uniqueness of the Blightlord Terminators compared to the standard vanilla Chaos Space Marines. I just wanted to show you another size comparison with standard Space Marine Cataphractii armour, just to give you an idea of how much the Blightlord Terminators have grown. Look how big they've grown. It's sort of like another kind of like, you know, fair few inches there that they've increased. Definitely bloated beyond measure. They big Terminators compared to the old school heresy Cataphractii Terminator armour. Compared to your newer stuff, the things that will be killing it then, this is the Alarus Terminators. The Alarus are a little bit shorter, truth be told, compared to the Blightlord Terminators. But let's have a look at the thickest Terminators, in my opinion, and that are these big boys. Look at them. Aquilon Terminators from Legio Custodes. Absolutely massive. You can't get thicker than these thick boys, I tell you. Finally, just because I wanted to, I just wanted to do a side comparison with my Fittic Blight Hauler, just to show you that these do have a fair bit of bulk, even next to this little jumping spider of a fast tank. Okay, so you're at my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for these Death Guard Blightlord Terminators. Now, there are a couple of places you can find them. One will be in your 8th edition Death Guard Codex. If you're going through the subscription, I strongly recommend you buy both the Space Marine Codex and the Death Guard Codex, if nothing else on top of it, because they definitely flesh out these models and the units, and give you handy sort of carryable tomes of rules, rather than that big folder full of all the issues that Hachette provide you with. So first of all, if we look at the rules in the Codex, the Lord of Contagion, which we're basically saying that Lord Felthius is, has his own rules in the Codex, and obviously in issue 19. The stat lines are exactly the same in both of the places. Lord of Contagion is an HQ choice, is a power points cost of a 7. The match play points cost aren't included in the issue. They mainly focus on the power points cost. But if you want to know the match play points cost of a Lord of Contagion, he will cost you 120 points. Then you've got to buy the Plague Reaper, which is 30 points. So it's going to cost you 150 points. If you want to change it to the Man Reaper, it's 17 points. So it's actually cheaper to take the Man Reaper instead of the Plague Reaper, and I'll go through the differences there if you're on the fence. So his movement is 4 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill both 2+, but strength 4, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9, and a save of 2+. So the Man Reaper then, it's a strength +3, so that's strength 7, AP -3 and a damage of D3, and it's a plague weapon. The Plague Reaper is a strength +2, so that's strength 6. It's still the same AP at -3, but it is a solid damage 3, and again, it's a plague weapon. War gear options, model may replace its Plague Reaper with a Man Reaper. And abilities, Death to the False Emperor, Disgustingly Resilient, Nurgle's Gift, which means all Death Guard units within 7 inches of a friendly Lord of Contagion are surrounded by a deadly aura of plague and disease. Roll a dice for each enemy unit that is within 1 inch of any affected friendly units at the start of your turn. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. That's pretty good. Within 7 inches, bang, 4+, they get a mortal wound. Cataphractii armour, it gives the Lord of Contagion a 4+ invulnerable save, but you must halve the result of the dice roll when determining how far it advances, so there's a little bit of a compromise there. And then finally, Teleport Strike. You can set the Lord of Contagion up in a teleportarium chamber instead of placing it on the battlefield. At the end of your movement phases, it can teleport into battle. Set it up anywhere that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. Keywords is Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, Death Guard, Character, Infantry, Terminator, and Lord of Contagion. There are no differences here to the abilities and the stats in the issue 19 compared to the Codex. Issue 19 is actually pretty good in that it explains what Disgustingly Resilient is. Each time a model loses a wound, you roll a dice, and on a 5+, the model does not lose that wound. And also it explains the Death to the False Emperor rule, which means each hit of a 6 in the fight phase, you can make an extra attack using the same weapon. So pretty detailed there in both the issue and the Codex. Let's move on to those Blight Lord Terminators then, which are an elite choice, and they're a power points cost of a 14. Now this is quite odd because in the Codex it says power points cost of a 14 and the unit contains 4 Terminators and 1 champion, so that's 5. But in the issue it straight up just says power points cost of a 14 and unit contains 3 Blight Lord Terminators. So if you're going to use one of the data sheets, it's best to use the one in the Codex because, well, clearly you're getting an extra Terminator and a champion. The stat line is exactly the same as it is in the Codex, but in the issue they're very limited in terms of what they're equipped with. One's armed with a combi bolt and bubotic axe, one's armed with a combi bolt and bale sword, and one's armed with a plague spewer. Obviously in the Codex you get a champion as well, and each model's armed with a combi bolter and either a bale sword or bubotic axe. And then there are some changes in terms of the war gear options. So let me just read out the stat line, which is the same in both. So the movement is 4 inches, weapon skill 3 plus, ballistic skill 3 plus, strength 4, toughness 5, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8 and a save of 2 plus. You can include an additional 5 Blight Lord Terminators from the Codex, you can have 10 in the unit. There's a number of weapons here, of which I've gone through already in my Blight Lord Terminator review. I won't go through them again, but I will go through the weapons that this unit is equipped with. So the Combi Bolter is a range of 24 inches, rapid fire 2, strength 4, AP 0 and a damage of 1. The Plague Spewer is a range of 9 inches, heavy D6, strength 5, AP minus 1 and a damage of 1, and you can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for this weapon. Weapon always hits targets, you do not need to roll. Pretty good, 9-inch heavy D6 weapon, and it's a good strength 5. The Bale Sword, which one of those is equipped with, is a melee weapon, strength of the user, which will be 4, AP minus 3 and a damage of 1, and you can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for the weapon. And the Bubotic Axe is a strength plus 1 of the user, so that's strength 5 in this case, AP minus 2 and a damage of 1, and again you can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for this weapon. They have a nice selection of abilities, one of which is something extra that you'll only find in the issue. So in the Codex they have Death to the False Emperor, Disgusting and Resilient, Teleport Strike, Cataphractii Armor and Aura of Rust. In the issue, in addition to all of those, they also have Inexorable Advance. Now, Inexorable Advance, it's worth me mentioning that models in this unit can fire twice with rapid fire weapons at a range of 18 inches. They also do not suffer a hit penalty for advancing when firing assault weapons. That's pretty nice, and you don't find that in the Codex. Let me go through the other rules then. So Teleport Strike, it's the same as Lord of Contagion in that you can set the unit in a teleportarium chamber instead of placing them on the battlefield, and at the end of the movement phase you can teleport them into battle. Set them up anywhere that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. The Cataphractii Armor gives them a 4+ invulnerable save, but again you must halve the result of the dice rolled when determining how far the unit advances. And then the Aura of Rust is one of the best reasons why you get them, is each time you make a wound roll of a 6+, for one of the unit's melee weapons, you increase the AP of that attack by 1. So AP minus 2 becomes AP minus 3. That's pretty awesome, that Aura of Rust. On 6s, that Bale Sword is now armor penetration of -4. So that's like a power fist basically for that Bale Sword. And the Bubotic Axe then goes to an AP of -3, which is very significant against, you know, your standard Space Marine equivalents, or the SMEs, or the SMEs as some people call them. Or is it SMQs? I don't know. Either way. So they are all the rules for the Lord of Contagion and the Blight Lord Terminators. Of course, if you were to jump aboard and get a squad of Blight Lord Terminators from Games Workshop, you do get that Blight Lord Champion. You can equip them with a Blight Launcher, proper combi weapons like the Flamer, the Melter Gun and the Plasma Gun, and also that awesome looking Reaper autocannon, and a new melee weapon called the Flail of Corruption, where you get D3 hit rolls for each attack of the weapon, which is pretty nice and worth taking. Anyway, what do you guys think of the issue and of Lord Felthius and those Blight Lord Terminators? I'm just very happy that I've got another Lord of Contagion and three more Blight Lord Terminators, because the box set is fairly pricey at £35 I think, but I definitely prefer it to the newer Chaos Space Marine Terminator set that came out a little while ago. What do you guys think? Put it in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Papa bless.